Good morning, everyone. We will be starting in a few minutes. We do have a guest speaker, and she's having a little bit of a computer issues, so just bear with me for a little bit. Thank you. Good morning, all. If you guys don't mind letting me know with a thumbs up if you can see the shared screen, it should be the PowerPoint Understanding the Holistic College Application. We will have our guest speaker join in a few minutes, so we will start in just a second. Thank you. Hi, Kelly. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Okay, great. So, making sure, are you able to see my share screen, Kelly? And then, yes, okay, great. All right, well, so we're gonna get started. And so welcome everyone for our Parents Coffee. Today's theme is going to be understanding the holistic college application. And we have our guest speaker today, who's coming from Christopher Newport University, Kelly Scallion, Associate Director of Admission. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna make sure that everything goes smooth. All right, our agenda. Today we're gonna be talking about the holistic college admission. So you probably all know we talk about that all the time when we speak about the college process here, but we're gonna dig deeper a little bit on what is the holistic admission, what factors actually takes into consideration for the holistic admission. And we'll also talk about the state of college admission for this year or last year, 2023. That was released by the National College Admissions Counseling Association. We'll talk about also finding the right fit. We always talk about the college fit when it comes to a student matching with a university. And then also we'll learn about Christopher Newport University, and that's an exciting time for showing off their what they're offering at CNU. Okay, so Kelly, do you want to start, or I don't remember
Sure.
which one was ours?
Yeah, so I guess the first question is to ask, what exactly is holistic admission? What does that mean? How is it different from other kinds of admission? Essentially, what a holistic admission means is that admission officers and the admission committee will look at every single part of your application and every single thing that you send to the college. And we're looking just beyond a GPA or a test score. Those set numbers, they can tell us part of the story, but they don't tell us all of the story. And so we consider, extracurricular involvement, your personal background, also just multiple different layers of your academic journey throughout high school, beyond the overall GPA, and all of that stuff is taken into consideration. And usually multiple sets of eyes look at an application before a decision is made. And so that's essentially what that means. There are some universities out there, usually, a lot of really, really big state schools that might have set cutoffs based off GPA or test scores, not so much these days with test scores, but and those decisions are based on that numerical GPA, and not much else is looked at besides that. But with holistic admission, that means that people are looking at your application, multiple people, and so there's usually different reviewers and a little bit more in-depth process so that we can learn not just who you are as a student, but who you are as a person. I'm going to go to the next slide. So what are some of those different factors that can be taken into consideration when you're looking at holistic admission? The rigor of your academic coursework is definitely one of them. As two students with the same GPA can have wildly different academic opportunities in terms of what classes they've chosen to take, if they've taken more advanced classes or if they've stuck to a more basic program. So it's that age-old question I always get of, would you rather see a B in an AP class or an A in a regular class? And, obviously we'd like to see an A in the AP class, but, that demonstration that you're challenging yourself, taking more than the bare minimum required to graduate? Have you increased the rigor in your academics as you've moved through your high school years? Those kinds of things are all things that we look at, as well as trends up or down in your grades. This year we've seen a lot of, rocky starts to high school as this year's senior class started their high school career during COVID when everyone was online. And so we've expected to see that students maybe started off a little rocky, but every year they've steadily been improving. We'd much rather see that than the opposite effect, obviously. Test scores, this one is a tricky one because ever since COVID, I think most colleges and universities are still test optional. We'll see next year if some of them start to bring back that requirement, but that is a personal choice, and that's up to you as the student to decide if you feel like your test scores are a good reflection of your ability. Most colleges, if they are accepting test scores, they'll look at your highest possible combination of scores. So, if you've sent in multiple SAT scores, they'll look at your highest reading and writing and your highest math score, even if they're from two separate testing dates. Colleges call that super scoring your SAT. So whichever test score is, highest is what we'll look at. We will also look at not so much class rank. It tells part of the story, but we also, a lot of colleges will look at where you fall within other students that have applied from your high school. It's not necessarily a ranking per se, but we just like to stay consistent, within each high school environment of if we're admitting this certain population within that cohort, we want to make sure that we're giving every student in that general, area the same consideration. Recommendation letters are another really great way that holistic admission gets a bigger picture of who you are, how you've developed as a student, and kind of how you've grown. And so we'll look at what your counselors and teachers reveal about you. We also look at essays and maybe short response answers to really get a sense of who you are beyond your academics. Many students do write their essays about academics, but most don't. They usually tend to write about something that is not anywhere else on their application, and that's what we like to see because we get to hear the student's voice come through on their application and learn a little bit more about what makes them them, as well as being able to gauge, kind of their writing ability and grammar and all of those sorts of things. So the essay kind of helps with both of those things, writing ability and learning more about your personal qualities. Next is extracurricular activities. There's no magic formula for this. We see a lot of students that will go out senior year and join every club that they possibly can because they're trying to beef up their resume, and we can tell that that's what that student has done. We'd rather see a qualitative involvement, maybe sticking with one or two things all 4 years, or maybe taking on some leadership roles, showing that they're really passionate about a couple of things rather than trying to be a jack of all trades and do everything. The reason we care about extracurricular activities is that most colleges, especially if you're going away to a traditional 4-year school, it's a community, and students are participating in that community beyond going to classes. They're getting involved in clubs and organizations and making a mark on that university campus. And so that's why we like to see that students are involved outside of school, because we want students that will come and thrive on our college campuses and really get involved beyond just going to class and getting their degree. And that, those extracurriculars can involve, athletics or special musical talents. And there may be certain things that colleges are recruiting for specific programs that maybe you bring that to the table. And so that might be something to highlight or showcase. We also like to read between the lines and figure out, maybe if there was a rocky period during your high school, what happened? Were there, illnesses, disabilities, were there major financial or family situations going on. We see a lot of students that go through really serious stuff during their high school career, and sometimes getting straight A's in the most demanding program can't be at the top of their priority list because they've got a dying family member, or they were hospitalized because of a car accident, or something. And so we like to know about those things because we want to take those into consideration and give students some grace. And we know that people have life experiences that maybe take away from being able to give their absolute best performance in the classroom. And so it's always important to add context when there is information like that needs to be included in the student's application. One way that students can do that is to put that on their additional information section on their application. There's always usually a place, whether that's on the Common App or just the institution's application, where you can add something additional that you feel that the university needs to know about you before they make a decision. Some colleges like CNU offer interviews. That's another really great way to add some context to your application, provide that background information, and kind of share a little bit more about what's been going on. So if a college that the student's applying to is offering interviews, we always strongly encourage them to take advantage of that, to add that personal stamp to their application. It helps add that context, but it also helps demonstrate interest in the university, which for a lot of smaller colleges and a lot of the colleges that say holistic admission, demonstrated interest is something that those universities might track. Keep in mind, none of these things are going to outweigh your academic performance. Sometimes people hear holistic admission and they think, oh, so it's not about my academics. It is. You're applying to college, and so how you performed in the classroom is always at the forefront of the review. But all of these different factors that I've just mentioned can help flesh out the application a little bit more and help provide more context. So a great essay is never going to overtake the fact that a student got straight D's throughout their high school. So just keeping that in mind of, when you hear holistic, it doesn't mean that the academic performance isn't as important. It just means all of these other things become important too.
Thank you, Kelly. I just wanted to kind of jump in quickly. For universities that, we have the class rank will not be posted pretty much anymore on the transcripts. So whenever this happens, what are the universities usually take into consideration if the class ranks are not added?
We see there's a lot of places that don't use class rank. Fairfax County doesn't rank. There's a lot of other big, counties that we get applications for that don't use class rank. If we're trying to see where a student falls within the context of their cohort from that high school, we have a reporting method that's part of our review where we can pull it up and see. It's usually ranked by GPA of every student that's applied this year from that high school, and kind of where they fall, what their admission decision has already been. And so we can kind of see the group from that specific cohort.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. Okay, so this is the report that comes from the National Admissions College, National Association for College Admissions Counseling, and it comes out every year, and it kind of surveys several universities and their responses on what they take into consideration when they look at the college admission application. So for last year, 2023, that's the most recent that we received. We saw that, of course, again, this, as Kelly was mentioning, the 77% of the university surveyed said the high school grades in college prep course was very important. And college prep course, meaning AP, IB, and anything else that had DE as well, that it is also preparing the college, the students to meet the requirements of the university. So anything that a university is asking for, that is what it is. So obviously the grades are important. The total high school grades, all courses, so also they want to see the entirety of the courses they've taken, the strength of the high school curriculum or what the high schools are offering. And then the essay has come into really high because, this is also another perspective of the holistic admission where we're trying to see what the students is running, who are they basically, really understanding their point of view. Student interest in attending. So it looks like this was also the demonstrated interest on that end, pretty high end up there. We have the counselor recommendation coming right after the demonstrated interest, recommendation for teacher, extracurricular. So you see how this is coming up, but we actually have this little spreadsheet in my office. But of course, this is a recorded presentation, so you can fall back again whenever you want. And it tells you a little bit the trend from, 2013 up to, 2023. So this is a very good kind of snapshot.
Yeah, and I saw how high up demonstrated interest was, and I thought that was
Yeah.
interesting. What are the reasons why colleges care about demonstrated interest in a way that maybe 20 or 30 years ago they didn't care? Is that students apply to so many more colleges now than they used to. It used to be students would apply to maybe 3 or 4 colleges. Now we see students applying to 15 colleges. So on our end, that takes a little bit of the predictability out of the way, of if we admit you, do you even want to come here? And so we like to see, we want students that want us just as much as we want them. And so this is a two-way street. And so, while we're reviewing applications holistically and be like, man, we really like this kid, do they even want us? You should be doing the same on your end, because this is all about finding the right fit. So your own college search should also be holistic. You should be looking at a lot of different factors. Too often I see students get stuck in the bubble of the big name schools, the popular schools, the schools that all their friends are applying to, or the friends that their parents have told them they need to apply to because the parents think this is a prestigious school and this is where my student needs to go, without actually looking into whether or not that school is a good fit for the student, whether a student can be happy and successful and thrive there. It's going to be different for every student. And so there are a lot of different things that should be going into this decision beyond, the typical schools that everybody is applying to. That includes, venturing out of state. I think a lot of students think that they have to stay in the state of Virginia for public school tuition, and that's not always the better deal. There are a lot of schools that maybe offer incredible scholarships. Private schools have a lot of scholarships. They have huge endowments that they can offer. So in terms of the cost of attendance, being able to broaden your horizons. I think that was one thing I didn't know as a high school student, is I was under the assumption that I have to go to a Virginia public school because that's the only way I can afford to go to college. And I didn't know that there were private schools out there that would maybe offer a financial package that made the cost of attendance the same or less than going to a Virginia public school. And so that's keeping that open mind and being able to look at things. When you see the cost of tuition and fees on a college's website or in their brochures. I always call that the sticker price. That's pretty much never what everyone pays, between financial aid and scholarships and different things. Very few people are actually paying full price to go to that institution. So that's something to keep in mind. Location too, not just distance from home, but is it in a city? Is it in the country? Is it in a suburban area? All of those different types of things lead to that comfort level of where you really want to live for 4 years. So that's important. How big the student body is. If you're comfortable being in a classroom of 400 or 500 students and you like that anonymity, then those bigger schools might be a good fit. But if you want to get to know your professors, if you like participating in class discussions, then maybe a smaller school should be something that you're looking at. The academic offerings is really important too. So many students I'll meet and they get so excited about Christopher Newport and they're like, I really want to go to Christopher Newport. And I say, well, what do you want to study? And they'll name something that we don't offer. The colleges that you're applying to have to offer the academic programs that you're interested in studying. If you're undecided, that's fine too, but make sure that they have at least some of the areas that you might be interested in so that you have some options when you actually get to that school. Clubs and organizations, if you're an equestrian and you want to make sure that you continue that in college, you need to make sure that the colleges you're applying to have an equestrian team, those sorts of things. So just doing a deep dive on the university's websites and taking tours and talking with students and kind of learning about all the different opportunities that are available to you outside of the classroom, whether that's academic or social. All of those things should be part of your decision-making process and some of the things that you're looking at. Another big one, and this is something I think that parents especially want to know a lot about, is outcomes. What are graduates doing after they leave that institution? Are they finding jobs quickly? Do they have a lot of support to get internships while they're still in school? What kind of resources are available to help make sure that they're successful after they leave, whether that's full-time employment or graduate school or med school or law school or whatever the future goal is, being able to make sure that that university is providing the resources. That being said, most of them do. Every college campus has a career center. They all have job and internship fairs. They all have resume building workshops. They all have online systems where you can look for internship opportunities and applications for jobs and things like that. So it's just dependent on, you know, what it is that you're looking for to do afterwards. So that's a little bit about the holistic review process. And so I have been told I get to brag a little bit about our institution. So while we're on here, I just want to share a few bits about Christopher Newport University for those that might be a little bit more unfamiliar with us. So CNU is a public residential university. We're liberal arts and sciences. You can go to the next slide if you want. We've got about 4,500 students, so we are on the smaller side of that medium-sized school frame. We're mostly residential, so most of our students live in the residence halls, and we have a really strong undergraduate focus. That's important to us. We really want, we think that there are a lot of really great graduate programs here in the state of Virginia, so we're not trying to replicate those. What we're trying to do is make sure that our undergraduate programs are really robust and that we're offering lots of opportunities for students to do research and go to conferences and study abroad and have lots of academic opportunities outside of their major that will help set them up to be successful in those really great graduate programs. So it's very intentional that we don't offer a lot of master's programs. The few that we do have are accelerated, like 5-year master's programs in very niche areas that we feel like we really excel based on who we are. We're also unique as a public school in that we're very values-based. You know, we really value things like leadership and service and honor. That's really part of our culture here on campus. Almost every student that I know is doing some form of community service here in the local Newport News area. So it's kind of woven into the culture of our campus that our students are working really hard in the classroom, but that they're also giving back to their community. They're engaging with their community, that they're looking for things to do beyond just what's happening here on campus. There's a really strong sense of community here, really strong supportiveness from everyone from the faculty and staff to all of our dining hall workers and our residence hall workers, that everyone is really invested in helping our students succeed and in supporting them along the way. In terms of the academics at CNU, I mentioned we're a liberal arts and sciences university, so students are required to take classes outside of their major. We have one of the strongest liberal learning core curriculums in the country, and second semester of sophomore year is when students formally declare a major. We've got over 90 different areas for them to study, and it's pretty common at CNU for students to study more than one thing. So we encourage expanding those horizons a little bit. We see a lot of maybe double majoring or having multiple minors and kind of taking more than just one specific area so that they can become a little bit more well-rounded, a little bit more marketable by the time they graduate as well. They're able to do all of that because we keep our classes really small. About 70% of our classes on campus are capped at 19 students. That's a lot. The largest physical classroom that we have on campus seats about 100 students, but most of them are going to be under 20. So in terms of that personal engagement, getting to know your professors, getting opportunities to do research and getting that advising from faculty, I think is really valuable. There's a great relationship here between the students and faculty. I'm a CNU alum and I'm still friends with some professors that I had just for one class my sophomore year that still keep up with me and ask me how I'm doing. And I think that's a really special relationship that we have. And so I think that's one of the reasons why students choose CNU is for having that small classroom environment, that great relationship with their professor, but also having a lot of different options in terms of what they can study. You can go to the next one. There's also a lot to do outside the classroom. Student life is really big here. I have never met a student on our campus that just went to class and then hung out in their room and that's all they did. That is not a thing at Christopher Newport. There's a pretty high expectation that students get involved, make their mark on our campus, and there's lots of ways for them to do that. We've got over 200 different clubs and organizations, which is a lot for a student body of 4,500 students. So that just speaks to how active and involved our students are. And that's everything from Greek life, traditional fraternities and sororities, to pre-professional groups, to service groups, to things like the Chicken Nugget Appreciation Club, which is surprisingly popular on our campus. We have 2 Chick-fil-A's. So there's lots to do. There's no reason for students to be bored or to not be able to make friends and get involved. Athletics is also a really great draw for CNU. We're one of the strongest Division III programs in the country. We've won 3 national championships in the past couple of years. We also have a really great array of club and intramural sports. So lots of good ways to get active on our campus, and all the games are free for CNU students to attend. So I would definitely say there's a lot of school spirit here. And I mentioned the community too, but this kind of culture of kindness is a really great way to describe what the environment is like on our campus. That when you walk around and you pass someone on the sidewalk, you look up from your phone and you say hello to them. And we look people in the eye and we hold doors for each other. And there's a really strong sense of support. So I think people really enjoy feeling like they're not just a number on our campus, that they're seen, they're heard, they matter, and that if they ask for help, people will bend over backwards to help them and support them and help them get to where they want to be. So that's a little bit about CNU, and I hope this has been helpful information. And I'm not sure if we take questions next or what do we?
Yes. So let me, everybody can, actually, I'm going to stop presenting right now. If you have any questions for me or Miss Callian here, we can put it on the chat. So let me see, it's a little bit slow on my end. So if you have any question, please go ahead and put it on the chat. You know, whatever we talked about today, this is about the college fit. You know, the Career Center here at Rockbridge actually helps on going through this process. And so students will come to me, they can make an appointment, or they can simply just, you know, walk in. And or I'll make an appointment if it's too short of a time, because we try to make sure that we have dedicated attention between 30 to at least an hour to kind of go over everything. The starting point will be school links for you all. The students can go on school links, do some of the assessments that we have, and then based on the assessments, you know, the college search comes in. And then we talk together and kind of match between college fit, career, and everything else. So, all right, so it looks like we don't have any questions popping up. But I wanted to say thank you so much for Kelly to coming here and really talking about all of it. Thank you so much. I appreciate.
Of course.
So this is going to be recorded. It has been recorded and it will be posted on a newsletter actually coming out tonight at 7 p.m. Okay. Oh, it looks like someone is typing just quickly. Yeah, will be recorded and you can kind of review it all the time. I'll share with your family, friends. And yes, you're welcome. Someone said thank you. Both this was informative. So I'm not sure if you can see the chat on your end. Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you so much and have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.